It wasn't that long ago, this entire half-acre plot was just grass. But one day I'd had enough mowing. I cut it for the last time, laid down tarps, and turned it into a food plot. And I haven't looked back. For the last 8 years we've been gardening this space, and for 5 years we've been selling at the farmer's market. This year, our goal is to grow enough food to feed our family for the entire year. In this tour, I'll show you what we're growing, what's thriving, what's struggling, and how we're growing a garden just to feed our chickens. Stick around for that. This is our half-acre homestead, our little food forest in the making. Some might call it a garden, but this is now how we feed our family. Let's start here. This potato patch is thriving. We planted it early, mulched heavily, and it's taken off. Over the last few days, we've been harvesting this potato patch. We planted these potatoes in mid-April, 60 pounds of seed potatoes. We planted it as a family and harvested these as a family, and I really love that. We set out to grow enough potatoes to feed us for the entire year, and I'd say we accomplished that. I haven't weighed these yet, but I'd guess we have well over 200 pounds. I didn't stay on top of weeding as well as I should have, but I'm still happy with the harvest, and now the problem is, once you harvest that many potatoes, where do you store them? So we have just started the process of turning a section of our tiny house into a pantry for storing our harvest. The potatoes took up quite a bit of space, and we're still figuring it all out. We will be adding more shelving so we can store jars of canned vegetables and additional food like from our chicken garden, which I'm excited about and will talk about later in this video. Now, in order to make the most use of our half-acre plot, we are not going to let this bare patch of ground where the potatoes were stay bare. I am preparing these rows to plant fall carrots. The best thing to do to have healthy soil is to always have crops growing in the soil. The longer the soil sits bare and exposed to the sun, the more lifeless it will become. That is the biggest lesson I've learned in my 8 years of managing our garden. If I didn't have a crop to plant immediately into a harvested row, I have been covering the soil with tarps. This has been the best way to manage our garden space without going crazy pulling weeds. The tarps will kill any weeds beneath it, and very fast in this summer heat. And when you're ready to plant again, you can just remove the tarp and plant into a weed-free bed. Right next to the potato plot, I've got a row of Amish paste tomatoes. Now, they say you shouldn't plant potatoes next to tomatoes because of the possibility of disease transferring, but these potatoes have just been cropped out, and now the potatoes will be all on their own. I just weeded these tomatoes really well and set up a Florida weave trellis to keep them standing upright. They're already starting to produce fruit clusters, and I want these tomatoes to thrive. I also pruned these differently this year with a 2-liter system, so we hopefully will get more fruit. I removed all lower leaves and branches below the first fruit set to keep them producing longer without getting disease. Not everything went to plan. This row of broccoli was hit hard by rabbits, deer, also groundhogs. Now, instead of pulling it all out, I quickly replanted this row with carrots. It's all about staying flexible and moving fast and always planting something else. Every year there are new challenges in the garden, but what we do is adapt and pivot, and we don't give up. We just keep planting. This year I'm doing a much better job staying ahead of weeds. My best friends have been the tarps that I just mentioned, and my flame weeder. Weeds will take over in a week if you let them, which is what has happened in certain areas of the farm after some heavy rainstorms. I've also kept up with succession planting lettuce every few weeks, and I'm using my paper pot transplanter for things like beets, scallions, and planting lots of lettuce. This thing saves my back and allows me to plant 264 plants just in minutes without bending over. In the past, I've sold all my produce at the farmer's market, and then we had to go to the grocery store to buy food for us, and that made no sense. This year, it's family first. We grow for us. Then, whatever we have extra, that will go to the market. That mindset shift has made all the difference. Now for one of the most exciting parts, our chicken garden. We're growing enough to feed our flock without the feed store. Corn, beans, squash, and sunflowers. Just about 1,000 square feet of these crops. And so far, it's working very well. We're planting beans to grow up the corn stalks, and that has just started to happen. Really neat to see. And it's all part of this bigger plan to be more self-sufficient, even with our chickens. Right behind the chicken garden, which you can't even see right now behind the corn stalks, is the chicken tunnel system. This has been a game changer for our small flock, allowing them to explore more of our yard without worrying about them trampling my crops or getting targeted by predators. It hasn't been perfect, and we have had a few escape attempts, but for the most part, I have loved the chicken tunnels we've created and how the chickens are now the backdrop behind our entire front garden space. Right next to the chicken garden is our kitchen garden area, full of 12 raised beds in just 400 square feet. We grow a ton of different vegetables in this space, and I designed it to be as efficient as possible in a small space. We do this by growing perennial crops around the outer edges of the space, like blueberries, raspberries, and mulberry trees. These act as a hedgerow and natural fence line. In the raised beds, we organize them in a way that make the most sense for us managing it. In the back rows, we plant perennials like asparagus and strawberries. We also have a bed with Jerusalem artichokes, which is a tuber that grows a sunflower, and the entire stalk and flowers can be used to feed the chickens. I also have a bed with walking onions, which is not doing as well as I'd hoped. It's a perennial onion that should have taken over the bed space by now. Pests, I think, have removed several of the plants, and I only see 2 plants left. So what I'm doing is replanting the bed with something different, mushrooms. Almond agaricus mushrooms are a type of mushroom that thrives in warm weather and also can be grown in compost. So I am sprinkling this mycelium and grain spawn throughout the raised bed to grow something else that will continue feeding us without much effort. Speaking of mushrooms, I also sprinkled winecap mushroom grain spawn all throughout the pathways in between the raised beds. They haven't started fruiting yet, but I'm so excited to see when that happens. These wine caps can be grown in straw or mulch and are easy to grow. If you'd like to get some of these mushrooms for yourself, I have a link down below where you can purchase these from North Spore. In the middle row of beds, I plant annual crops like onions, carrots, tomatoes, and cucumbers. In these center beds, we've put up a trellis from a cattle panel, and this has been a great addition to our small garden space. We can grow crops that like to climb or be trellised easily and create an environment where they can thrive. It's also quite beautiful as a garden centerpiece midsummer when it is full of green foliage. I am crimping these wheat stalks to act as a natural mulch layer to suppress weeds and help these tomatoes thrive. In the front rows, we have mostly green beans planted right now in all of the 4 raised beds. I tried to grow broccoli in this first bed, but I planted them too late and now they are bolting from the heat. I will remove the broccoli from that first bed, but I have already planted green beans before the broccoli was ready in that bed, so I would still have a steady green bean supply once the broccoli was ready to be harvested. These green beans are going to be harvested over the next few weeks, and we will be preserving these green beans for over the winter months. If you would like to recreate this 400 square foot garden space for yourself, you can buy my book, The 400 Square Foot Garden, which is now available on Amazon or on our website at www.the400squarefootgarden.com. In this book, I give you a playbook to follow that anybody could follow regardless of how little gardening experience you may have, and create a garden from scratch in just 400 square feet. And I give you step-by-step guides and crop plans so you can grow food all year long in very little space. And I think you'll find it very helpful. Managing this homestead hasn't always been easy, but every year it gets better. This season, my kids started helping more. Finally. They're grabbing tools, they're helping with weeding and planting, and that lifts me up. And it reminds me that the work we're doing here matters, and I hope that one day they'll pass it down to their own children. If this tour has inspired you, you'll definitely want to check out my upcoming course, The Self-Sufficient Chicken. It's all about raising chickens without relying on the feed store. everything from incubating eggs at home to growing feed at home. So subscribe to our channel and join our email list to be first to notified when that course goes live. Thank you all for watching. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this one. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.